Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's Monday and it is December. Well, actually, Simpiwe corrected me. It's not December, it's just December now.
Yeah. I also got this lesson.
It only becomes December on the 15th when people go on holiday officially. But I think mentally
now it was a December.
Yeah, exactly. But I think people have mentally been on holiday for the last 2 months anyway. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Basically. But I have an argument or a bone to pick with Simpiwe. Like the weather says it's December.
Oh, so big time. Oh yeah.
Like you can't do anything in this weather. It's hot. It just wants you to be in a pool or lying down.
It's tough. Hey, I mean, I know that there are people with real problems in the world. So I don't want to sound like an idiot.
Yeah, there are children starving in Africa, Gareth.
I know. There are people dying if you care enough for the living. Anyway.
No pressure.
No. It's just damn hard to like get yourself motivated when all you want to do is be cool and not be so fucking tired and hot the whole time. I mean, even my little nephews who I saw yesterday, I'm like, how are you doing? I'm tired. I'm like, no, you're a child. You should be like energy central. You should be able to power up Eskom with your like optimism and natural kind of enthusiasm for things. And you're like, I'm tired.
Vigor.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, shit. If the kids are starting to say they're tired, then maybe it is a thing. Maybe I'm not the only one who's feeling this way, right?
So
I mean, they could at least draw a new logo for Eskom.
I don't think that would be a useful, a good use of their time.
Well, you don't want your kids into that tender, okay, Gareth? Your nephews getting that big ass tender.
Can I tell you something? I don't think I could look anyone in the face if they were the person who'd stolen money from the people of South Africa by designing that stupid logo. And whatever it is, we're gonna hate it no matter what it could be the best logo. They could literally come up with like a Nike Just Do It out of this, and it could be like the best logo ever, and we would all go, we hate it.
I'll draw one now.
Go. Probably good enough.
There we go. It's all done.
Yeah, there we go. No electricity. I love it. Leigh-Ann just drew a 0 with a line through it.
Exactly. Like a no entry site.
So we're going to welcome Ricky, who's from Francistown in Botswana. Nice. How's it, Ricky? It's always good to have someone new on the show this morning and every other morning. So Zhao says morning, everybody. Okay, so how was the weekend? How was the weekend? How was the weekend, Bakh'abantu?
It was all good. Shame. I was supposed to see our good friend Dory this weekend.
Oh yeah,
being her 50th celebration. But
yes.
Man, it's time of the month, the end of December. So if you're in corporate
December.
or if you're end of November, end of the year. If you're in corporate or if you're planning ahead for calendars for next year, then you'll know the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, you need to plan everything for December plus January.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no getting anything approved or seen to at the end of this month, at the end of December. So you've got to have everything in order. And that's basically what weekends consist of now, is working really hard so that you can have a few days off.
Yeah. It's so twisted. We spend the whole year looking forward to December, then we get here and it's like, oh my God, we're still going to squeeze in some stuff before we can actually enjoy our holidays. You know?
It's also so counterproductive because you slow down as the year end comes through.
You slow down to start up.
But the work piles up. Exactly. But Leigh-Ann, how is it working at a new job in December? Like you just described this time of the year.
I mean, I'm stifling yawns as we speak because I'm surviving. I think on average, I'm working 15 hours a day. I think I topped it the other day at 20 hours. So if you see me looking a bit tired this morning, that's why. So don't come for me. I'm busy making money for the country. because I got
No,
my
that's
first
good.
check and it was almost halved.
I think that's good. As long as you see, if you're being rewarded for working hard, you don't mind working hard. If you know that you can
Yeah.
put in an extra 3-4 hours and you'll earn this much more, or there's an opportunity along the way to get a promotion, or something good. There'll be a bonus if you perform X, Y, and Z. You get
You know
these
what?
numbers,
In this
don't you
case,
think?
it's not about that. No, I don't get paid more for working more. I might get recognition, but I'm doing it all because I've landed myself in a position where my position didn't exist before and it was needed. And I need to get our team into a position where we aren't 2 months behind or 3 months behind. We're 3
All right.
months ahead. So there's this inner drive at the moment. I'm doing this for myself and
That's
for
great.
the team. I'm not doing it for anyone else
Okay, but
besides
that's
just
what I'm getting at.
advancing, which is an
Okay,
amazing feeling.
that's terrific because you can pour your heart and soul into something, and you feel like
Yeah.
there's something at the end of it that you're going to be proud of, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
like what? An internal motivator instead of an external one.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Absolutely.
that's the most valuable thing you could hope for, and if you've got that in your life, wow, epic, right? That's the best thing.
Yeah. I think that the best thing as well is when you get into a position where you're no longer being told what to do
Mhm.
and you are rather instructing people on what to do. And not because that's a position of power,
No,
but
sure.
because all of your years of experience and work have finally come to fruition and you're able to share that with other people and lead them in that way. It gives you even though it's such a responsibility, it's the most liberating feeling of responsibility you'll ever have.
I like this. I really like where this is going. So I want to ask you this question, both of you, and anyone who's listening who's maybe going through the same thing. It's like, what are the main motivators, especially at this time of year? Because if you're just tired and you've had a long, crazy year, and a lot of people, that's been the case, right? We jokingly said the other day, this has been a very meh year for some people, and for some people, it's been remarkable, and obviously there's been a lot of change and all of that stuff. But what are the main kind of things that push you forward, especially when everyone else is slowing down? And you just gave one, which is that you want to pull the team with you. You want to achieve all those, what do they call them? KPIs, right?
Yeah.
And
Deliverables.
deliverables, correct? ROI for your clients, return on
Yeah.
investment. So you want to do all of that,
Circling
but
back.
circling. Oh yeah.
Okay, guys, let's put a pin in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll circle back to it.
okay. No. Don't
Yeah.
go into corporate speak, or you
We'll
immediately
double
lose.
click on that.
Oh, but is it that? Is it the need for, as you said, those couple of days of break? So you're prepared to put it all in because you know you're going to get a week or two where you can actually just relax and not have to worry about that stuff. I mean, here, for example, so Zhao, who we mentioned earlier, says he's a regular listener, need advice. We're without power for 24 hours. Frustrating part is that's not load shedding. This is like obviously cable theft or a transformer that's blown up or something like that. We have a prepaid system now for a year. What do you want? Advice from me? Ah, dude.
Go vote.
Yeah, I mean, I
Uh,
put this thing up over the weekend,
yeah.
and I don't like to start a Monday morning with politics, but all of the things that frustrate South Africans, everything that is happening in your life right now, with a few exceptions like the personal stuff, maybe, or health things, which is not the government's fault, but all of the stuff that we all agree is annoying us in terms of society and, the things that work, the things that don't work, all of that stuff can be laid at the foot of the government. And I'm not the kind of person who likes to blame other people. I really do feel that you have to take personal responsibility for as much in your life as you can. And I think you guys feel the same way.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like there are some things which are definitely the government's fault. And what you've got to do about that is teach these motherfuckers a lesson. Is like, go to the polls and vote for anyone else. I mean, I honestly, and except the EFF, who I think would make it worse, but like anybody, you've got these options, right? And people always going, I don't like any of the options. Well, none of them are going to be your boyfriend or your husband or your lover for the rest of your life. You just need them. You just need them to manage things, right? You don't
It's
for
need to.
5 years, and then we can do
we
it
talk
again.
about the power to vote someone in. This isn't about that. This is the power of voting someone out.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I've got to address this to women in particular because you've only had the vote for 100 years, so you don't really know what you're doing.
Where must I sign?
No, don't get upset with me because I know a lot of plenty of my listeners now are going to go, "How dare you? That's so insulting to women." You've got 100 years of dealing with government. You've never. The first country to allow women to vote was New Zealand, and that was around the turn of the century, right? 1912, somewhere around there, as far as I can remember. So it's only been about 100 years that women have had the vote. Before then, we kept you out of politics, mostly because we didn't expect you to go and sacrifice your life for battle either, right? So there was an implicit kind of deal there. The deal was, you ladies worry about all the important things like building the family and keeping society running and making sure that the men are actually decent creatures. You raise them properly so that they will stand for something, that they'll make the society that we need to forge forward as a civilization, as a species. And in return for that very important task, you can lean on us to go and kill ourselves in war, to fight the actual battle, and we'll take care of this government shit, which really should just be administration. It shouldn't have to be the exercise of real power or changing the world for the worse or the better, any of that shit. That happens at the family level. This stuff is just administering the state. But since it's only been 100 years that women have had the vote, and I'm not being disparaging, just let me finish the thought before you climb into me. A lot of women are still basing their democratic choice in democratic countries on how they feel about somebody. They said, and I know this is not me making this up. It's not me being a chauvinist asshole. This is what they said, and I'll never forget this poll during the Al Gore George W. Bush election. They went round and they asked women, why are you voting for Al Gore or why are you voting for George W. Bush? Some of them were voting because of looks, which no man has ever done in an election. Even if there's
if there were female delegates, then they would. 100%.
Oh, well, Margaret Thatcher didn't win because women voted for her.
I was going to say.
No, well, because she wasn't on the men's level of attraction.
But they voted for her. Did you notice that? In overwhelming numbers. I mean, she probably had more men voting for her than women. Anyway, the point being, they did. This is what they said. I'm not gonna put words in their mouths. Women said they voted for Al Gore or for George W. Bush based A, on how they looked, B, on how they felt about them. Like, I feel like he's a good guy. I feel like he would be a nice person to have a discussion with. I feel like he looks like he would care for me and my family. And these are not reasons to vote for somebody, with all due respect. And I know it wasn't all women. Obviously, there are lots of very smart women who apply their minds to these things. But in general, the way women make decisions and the way men make decisions are completely different. We don't do them the same way. We just don't. So the long-winded answer to Zhao's question is, you need to also inject a little bit of common sense into your decision-making, and therefore also the rest of your family who have a vote. And I think if you're going to use this Christmas for anything really useful and powerful, it should be to sit there as a family and actually have the conversation. I don't mean you have to break into an argument, but to have the conversation where you go, hey guys, what are we doing for the election next year as a family? Because we need to do something or else we will get the government everyone else deserves. And if you can do that, like, just spend one of the holiday meals. It doesn't have to break out into open war, because that's not necessarily always on the cards. But if you want to change things, it's time that people started taking each other seriously. And and actually having the conversations that, and I don't mean like these huge political discussions. You don't have to sit and talk about ideology. You have to say to the rest of your family, especially those idiots in the family who are just voting because of their feelings, or because they're just given up. They're not voting. They're sitting there and they're like, oh well, you guys decide. I'm not going to go to the polls. What a waste of time. Those are the people you need to engage this holiday.
Yes.
You need to actually say to them, hey, listen, you have a responsibility, motherfucker. It's not up to just me. And don't lean on me to do this just because I'm, the person in the family who's responsible. You have to do this as well.
Yeah.
And if we can all do that as a country, I think we could get a lot done, honestly. So that's Charles' answer. Dude, spend this Christmas having really important conversations about what kind of a country you want to have with your family. Or else have the other conversation like, are we going to leave South Africa? Or are we going to move to the Western Cape? Or are we going to live in some gated estate, gated community where we try and get our own water and electricity and all that shit, and we try to pretend we're not in South Africa? You have to decide, and you have to make those decisions as a family. So start with that this holiday. How about that?
Mhm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
KB says someone just farted.
I saw that and I realized I made a noise. I'm busy pulling a sticker.
So was
off
you.
Of I'll do it again. I was pulling a sticker off of something. I was just fidgeting, but I think it was me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the big thing as well, is getting, you don't get the sort of knowledge that that you do when you're around a table talking with your family, that you do from media or from anyone else at work, or from reading a newspaper or looking up someone's political mandate or what they're after. You don't get that from anything like that, except for family conversations and aligning where you are.
Exactly. That's so true. And Gareth, like, just to speak on one point, I hate people being paralyzed by choice, right? You know that Netflix effect where you scroll on Netflix. Our ballot paper is too long, but that means you have more options to choose from. Just find one thing you like about a party and vote for it. It's as simple as that. Like
you're not gonna find like the perfect.
You won't find your dream man.
No, exactly.
You're not going to find your perfect woman, your perfect boss, your perfect job, your perfect body. Never.
It's so childish to want all your needs catered to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, it is childish. That's exactly right. It's childish to think that this person who you're going to elect as president, or the party that you'll elect as the ruling party, that these people will tick every box. It's like, well, I would vote for Herman Mashaba, but the problem with him is I don't like his opinion about foreigners. But if he would actually run things properly, let's imagine he could just administer refuse collection, water and electricity, roads, and he never made speeches or had rallies or any of that shit, but he got those things. He got those things right. And he didn't inspire you. Didn't like wake up in the morning going, "Oh, thank goodness for him and Mashaba." If that didn't happen, but he did all that stuff that I just listed properly, you'd be like, "Go ahead, dude. I don't even mind." Right?
Yeah. It's like a petrol station which provides petrol and oil and water. Just you'll stop there. You'll use them.
That's right. You don't think about them and go, well, it's not my favorite petrol station. Who cares? Who cares if it's not your favorite petrol station? And I think this is, again, not to labor the point, but this is why I made that remark about how some people make their decisions based on how they feel about something. You don't need to do that with politics. Just get a good administrator. They don't have to be someone that you would want to spend every day and every night with. Really, you don't. It can be very straightforward. This can be the simplest thing you ever do. Just vote for someone who gets shit done. That's it.
Yep.
Right?
It's as simple as that.
All right. Well, there's our political lecture for the morning done. We've got other things that we need to move along to. So I've got a list of terms here that was actually shared on a WhatsApp group. with a bunch of friends of mine, and I was surprised at how many of these I knew. And I think I'm just guessing here. I think Bakh'abantu will score even higher than me, and Leigh-Ann will probably get the highest score on this because these are terms that are used. They're not all abbreviations, but they're terms that are used now in like the common parlance by anyone under the age of
Oh
25,
boy.
or anyone under the age of let's say 30, but I reckon 25. So try
Oh
these.
boy.
I feel like I'm
Yeah,
gonna
go on.
lose this. Watch me lose this to you
You think
guys.
so?
Yeah,
All right,
I
let's
think
try.
so.
So let's give it a go. First one is sus. Now we know what that
Yes.
is. That's short
Don't
for
be
Suspect.
suspicious. Don't be
Yeah.
Don't be
suspicious.
suspicious.
right. Okay, so we all get that one. Anyone want to try bet? B-E-T?
I bet it means sure. Like, let's go. I agree. Okay. All of that.
All you do is say bet, right?
Bet. Yeah, bet.
It's like vetting, but betting.
Okay. And by the way, if there's anyone who disagrees with us wholeheartedly in the comments, you can challenge
you can
these.
play on it. Yeah.
I'm not so sure I'm going to know. Yeet. Okay, what's yeet? Number
Means
3.
yes.
Get
Yeet.
you,
Means yes.
It's like, but it's
Means I
also you,
agree.
but if you yeet something, and it means you throw it. Like you yeet something over the wall.
Oh no, Leigh-Ann, that's the olden days. This
Mm.
is yeet. That's what
All
it
right.
actually means.
Yeah, well, I mean, so far you're in the lead then. Salty. Salty means someone is they're full of opinions, they got a lot
Yeah.
to say.
In a
They're
bit
quite
of a bad mood, bitchy.
Yeah. Prickly.
yeah,
Mm.
prickly. These are not the kind of people who just agree with everything. Cap.
Cap.
Oh, stop the cap. You're
no
lying.
lie.
Stop the
No
cap.
lie.
No lie.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that.
No cap
How
means
about
no
this
lie.
one? Extra. We know what that is.
You're being too
Yeah.
much.
Someone who's over the top.
OTT. That
They're
was
a
the
bit
old.
salty.
Yeah.
They're a bit
OTT.
salty. There's too much going on there. Yeah. OTT. So extra. Bussin'.
Okay. I don't.
Like-
I think this is like if you're popping, if you're like cool. I don't know.
Yeah, or if you're
I don't know this one.
looking to do something, like you're busting to get something.
Oh,
I
okay.
think. I'm not sure.
Yeet is get the fuck over here. According to some people, cap is to lie.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Sorry.
Maybe.
And then the ANC is extra. That's good. Oh, producer Ryan says if something is good, it's bussing.
Okay.
Okay.
So like,
all right. You want to try some more?
Your outfit's busting.
Cool.
Bougie. Bougie is when something's very fancy.
Oh, I've been accused of this for a long time.
Okay, but explain this to me. Like, it must come from bourgeois, right?
Yeah, bourgeoisie.
Mm-hmm. So the bourgeois are the bourgeoisie are the middle class. They're not
class, not clergy or the upper class.
They're not the upper class. So if something's fancy and smart and impressive, it's middle class.
Hey, all I know is Cardi B says this word, and the Migos, bad and bougie.
I suppose if you are like at Cardi B's level, then middle class is
a goal. Yeah.
Middle class is where you should be aiming. So okay, that makes sense. Sheesh.
Sheesh. It's like when like someone shouts at you and you go, "Oh, sheesh! Why are you so salty with me?"
That feels too obvious. Any input from you, Bakh'abantu, on that one?
I don't know. Like, maybe I might agree with Leigh-Ann. I don't know.
Carl says, "I'm old. Does puss still mean puss? The ANC is puss." Yeah, no, you're still. That's
it'll never change.
All right, now there's some more. Hang on, we haven't made it through this list yet. Drip. What is drip?
Drip is it's like cool, man. It's like, okay, wait, no drip.
Means that person is like, they've got some style, they look great.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. They've got like some vibe about them. There's something, they've got drip.
Yeah, I think in my day we used to call it swag.
Yeah. It's the opposite of in my day where a drip was like the nerd at the party. Don't be a drip. You don't want to take drugs. Oh, you're a drip.
Right. I still think there's a difference here between drip and a drip. So like someone has drip.
Oh, yes.
Like
one's an adjective.
Like whereas the other one if you're a noun, if I say you're a drip, that's not a compliment. But if I say you have drip, that's a right. Okay, we're making our way. Oof. I think that's just.
I think
that's just oof.
I think it's like if you've had a blow to the stomach, you've been punched in the stomach.
Oof. Yeah, it's like this is a surprise or this is a big deal or oof.
Yeah, something like that.
Abbreviation. I mean, not abbreviation. It's like a
onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
In a way.
It's like an accentuation. It's like a oof. That's oof. That's a moment to kind of put an exclamation mark next to or something. All right, finna.
Or you're about to, like, I'm finna doing this. Yeah, exactly. I'm finna, so I'm about to do something, or I want to
almost
do something.
Finished.
In a sentence.
I'm finna call Orion into the studio, and
it's like Ghana.
Yeah,
like
Ghana, exactly.
Okay.
I finna slay his ass.
Oh Jesus. All right, that sounds complicated and unnecessary if we've already got Ghana. Shook. We know what that is. We don't need to discuss.
You're totally shook, yeah.
Exactly. You're shook that we're finna.
Yeah. I have a feeling Ryan could use a lot of these words. I think you do, right?
What do you mean? He already does.
Yeah, I know.
He needs his mic on.
I know a lot of them, but I don't use them. Like I think it's.
Have we got any of these wrong so far?
No, you pretty much on, except for the sheesh thing. Like there was a trend where people went sheesh.
Oh, sheesh.
I don't know what it means though, but like it was just a trend that went on for a little while.
What is simp?
Simp is a guy who.
Yeah, it's a beta cuck.
It's a decent human being.
No, so a guy will say he's simping for his girlfriend, for example.
Yeah.
Or simp for whatever her name is. Like, her name is like Natalie, and he's like simp for Natalie. He's like he's prepared to like do anything it takes for Natalie. It's like it's meant to be an expression of devotion, but it comes across as being like a little bit weak and beta male, as Bakh'abantu said.
Rhymes with wimp.
Yeah, rhymes with wimp. Exactly. You're a wimp. Yeah. Ryan says it's a decent human being.
No, it's not a decent human being. It's like a pathetic guy who's like,
yeah, well,
that's to let his woman walk all over him, humiliate him. Like Will Smith is a simp for Jada, basically.
Yeah,
that's for Jada. Yeah,
that's pretty accurate.
Right.
Yeah.
Mid.
Oh, it's not good.
It's like if it's average.
Yeah, if
like,
it's average or like just below average.
That's such a little translation.
Like my sisters use this. It's like mid.
It's so mid. Like
mid's been around since the mid-century.
You know what bothers me about so many of these is we've already got words for so many of these, right?
We've been having it.
We've been having it. All right, so
that's the thing about the English language. It evolves, guys.
Yeah, well, hold this L.
Oh yeah, I mean,
no
you just caught an L.
Yeah,
right? Like you just lost.
Yeah.
Like I want you to admit that you just lost.
You mean you caught an L as in loser?
Yeah, you're a loser. So you just lost. So hold this L.
You remember how we used to go loser and hold the L up to our forehead? So that's the same thing. That's
now people just say it.
IYKYK. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
It's like you show up a brand quickly, and you go bussin'. If you know, you know.
Yeet.
All right, yeet. And then you go yeet afterwards. Okay, so NPC is a non-player character.
Yeah.
That's like all the people in your life who, I mean, it's just, this is so 2023 because people's humanity and their value is just completely zero if they don't actually do things for you. So some people consider a whole lot of other people in the background of their life to be non-player characters.
Yeah, that is true. People stuck in this like simulation. People who are just doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Yeah, it's just these kind of nobodies who are in and out of your life.
Who just follow what?
They're programmed. Yeah, they're brainwashed. They're brainwashed and programmed. Like most of the people who will vote for the ANC this coming election, they are NPCs. And then a vibe check.
Yeah, it's like it's like if you pass a certain vibe, like if you walk into a room Like you feel like if there's like some sort of vibe that you pick up, and are people upset or are they happy? Like, do they pass the vibe check? Like, is it a cool
Yeah.
surrounding to be in? I guess.
Yeah.
Like an atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly.
And the
If you're a
final one,
downer, then you just
the final one is Stan.
We all know this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
a fan.
It's if you're a big fan.
Yeah.
It's an Eminem reference.
Yep.
So Stan is more than a fan.
Yeah, it's like a fanatic, man. It's
a reference to that retro rapper called Eminem.
Retro.
calling Eminem a retro rapper is kind of sus, Leigh-Ann.
Again,
I'm curious to hear who you hang out with at work, because you know all of these with flying colors.
hang
Like,
on.
it's actually quite
It is
impressive.
So Leigh-Ann,
terrifying.
use it in a sentence for me so I can figure out what it is.
Well, there, KB's done it. I stand for Cliff Central.
No.
Okay.
Or
I
you
stan
can
Cliff
say I'm
Central.
a stan of Eminem. Like, I'm a stan
Oh.
of whoever.
You
Goon
just
says,
replace fan with stan.
Yeah.
Goon says simp stands for simpleton. And then A Lion says NGL, not gonna lie, not on the list, but I thought it meant nochal. It's not nochal.
So did I. I
not
saw
gonna
that, and
lie.
so did I. It's like he's really hot, and nogal is a rake.
Right. Okay.
You
So
see,
it's not.
I know half these words. I can't use them in real life. It just sounds so stupid to
Is
me.
it
But
I
I can
to
hear
you?
them.
Is it Coogee to you if you
Yeah,
use them?
exactly.
What is Coogee now? It's not
Yeah,
on the
what's-
Like
list.
cringy. It means
Oh.
Yes.
anyone
Cringy is
who's older
definitely.
than you. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes,
I
Leigh-Ann.
bet. Yeah, I
This
bet.
is
Yo.
good. All right. So now don't tell me you don't learn new things on this show every morning, because there's a bunch of things that I didn't know. Now I've filled in some of those gaps, and now you have too. Excellent. All right. Let's look at some sport. Ryan, what do you got for us today? Let's get into this with Super Bets. It is beyond the scoreboard weekend sports recap. And of course, Ryan has got all the details. What do you got?
All right, so let's kick off with some cricket. India blew the Aussies away in the T20 series, eventually wrapping it up 4-1. Now we're onto a 3-match T20 series starting this Sunday.
Mhm.
Onto the rugby. I saw someone in the comments early as we started the show. The Blitz box won the Dubai Sevens again by beating Argentina in the final, 12-7. So that's cool.
Fun fact on this way to victory,
Yeah.
they beat New Zealand again.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, New Zealand are having such a terrible year. Hey?
They're just racking it up, eh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
In United Rugby Championships, Stormers beat Zebra 31-7. Lions beat the Dragons 49-24. And Bulls beat the Sharks 44-10. Then onto some Premier League. Very interesting weekend that we had. Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1. Newcastle beat Man United 1-0. I know somebody said don't mention it, but we have to. Chelsea beat Brighton 3-2 last night. And Liverpool beat Fulham 4-3. Man City came out 3-3 with Spurs. They tied up there. Very interesting, controversial game.
Yes.
But we'll leave it at that one. For the SA Open Golf, Dean Burmeister makes it 2 wins in a row, and Australian Open Women's Golf, South Africa's Ashley Buhai wins for the 2nd year running. And that's beyond the scoreboard for Monday morning.
All right. Well, you're beyond the scoreboard weekend sports wrap with Super Bets. Of course, they support responsible gambling, strictly in under 18s. Winners know when to stop. The South African Responsible Gambling Foundation's toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. I think we've helped a lot of people this morning, because here, for example, says Daryl, my son knows all this. He uses these every day, these terms. So you might not want to use them yourself, but now at least you understand what the kids are talking about. So you don't feel like
But you know what?
an old man
Now
when you
that-
hear these things.
Now that these words have come out of our mouths as old people, and that we've expressed that we understand them, they're going to change. The code has to change as soon as the old ones understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll stay as NPCs and they can be main characters.
Yeah. I love the way that like a generation of complete NPCs is calling other people NPCs.
Right?
The very generation of people who are doing absolutely fuck all and sitting on their asses the whole time has the cheek to tell the rest of us what an NPC is. I'm like, yeah. You keep talking, asshole.
Man.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wait until you get to our age, lovey.
We'll see how you handle things then. Anyway,
Right.
let's not get caught up in this. There's some interesting things that we have to talk about this morning, and first among them, my favorite subject: obese people. What is the most? Well, I mean, this is entirely on those fat people. This is on no one. You can't blame the government for this. You can't blame the food manufacturers for this. You can't blame your aunt or your parents. Or, oh, I've got fat genes. I can't help it. My parents, they both fat, so I'm fat. No, it's because you can't stop going to the fridge and the cupboard at midnight and scoffing like a gigantic hog. Stop it. So, which is the most obese country in the world?
So like what? We have Ryan here. Ryan, take a guess. You're gonna say America, right?
Yeah, that would be my first guess.
Yeah, like this is the biggest lie told to the world that it's America. Because I also seen this in health posters. Like South Africa is the third most obese country in the world after the UK and America. No, it's not. It is this place called the Cook Islands, ironically named.
Yeah. Name
Cook
not
Islands.
after cooking, but after Captain. All right, yeah.
So
But tell us
they have a
island.
population of 17,000 people. The obesity rate is 55%, meaning over over half of them
Pretty
are
much
obese.
every second person you meet with a slight bias towards the fat ones will be obese. And by the way, obese is a clinical definition, right?
Yes,
Yes.
this is a clinical.
Yeah.
Like they are morbidly obese.
There are going to be some
Yeah.
people now who are listening to us because everything's about you. You're going to think, oh, he's talking about me. That's so mean. I'm not. I'm not talking about overweight people. I'm talking about obese people. So obesity means that you have a certain BMI, like you're beyond double the BMI you should be, I think is obese.
Yeah.
So
It's exactly. It's something like ridiculous like that. Because in terms of overweightness, it's a great point that you pull up is that they technically number 3 because 85% of their population is overweight, but obesity it's over over 50%, 55% of these people. And you should see the videos of these people, Gareth. They're on scooters, you know those little mobile scooters, like those grocery stuff.
Is it like a
Yeah.
Wally movie?
Yeah, it's like everyone's just fat. I'm like, I
They're
don't
just-
understand.
There's special parking for those scooters outside the ice cream shops on Cook Island.
really,
It's so bad. It's so bad. But like, and also like, when you read the medical reports, it's like the leading cause of death is heart conditions, diabetes.
surprise.
Like, wow, guys, wow, like you guys really are smart people, eh? Like, fatness leads to diabetes. Wow,
Diabetes.
diabetes.
Does it?
Diabetes.
I mean, I shudder to think of the ignorance when it comes to the fact that it's not genes, because it has a lot to do with that. If you know your oats,
Please.
but
Please.
but is this not proof as well that I mean, obviously everyone on the island is related, or in the country is related. So yeah, there's like this. Yeah.
No, I think
It's not genes,
so
Leigh-Ann. There's this false
the way,
narrative that like there
hold
is
on,
like
before we even get into that. So apparently obese is a BMI of over 35.
I'm
And
obese, by the way.
Are you obese according to this definition?
Yeah. So I mean, you guys saw me a week or two ago. That's obese, by the way.
I think
So
you're probably overweight. I mean, just judging, and I've got a good eye for this, Leigh-Ann. I've been
I
looking
haven't done my
years.
what? How do
When
you
last did
calculate
you
your
do it?
BMI again?
height
to get-
times weight or something
You
like
have,
that.
you have to get one of those scales that measures it for you, like I did.
So you just height.
I'll tell you how you
Bakh'abantu.
calculate it.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of remote working going on?
There.
Yes.
I don't think there's any work going on, Lee.
Because, no, because this weekend there was a picture that was released of like an AI prediction of what remote work is going to look like, because you know there's more and more remote work happening, and it kind of looks like this. Have a look how horrifying this is. An AI prediction of what remote workers are going to look like in the future.
Oh, but like this is like the thing. You remember the guy who can survive the car crash, and also how we're supposed to look ever since offices started, and that was 100 years ago, and we still don't look like this.
You don't think so, huh?
Nah,
Okay,
humans are
so here
smarter
it is.
than that.
So what you do is you take your
I've
weight,
got it.
you take your weight in kilograms, and you divide it by your height to the power of 2 in meters.
And what's this one that I've just been onto, which is a BMI calculator on truthaboutweight.global. It's the first time I've seen this, because usually it gives you underweight, normal weight, overweight, obese, and morbidly obese, right? This
Yeah.
one's a little different. It gives you underweight, normal weight, overweight, and then obesity class 1, obesity class 2, and obesity class 3. So
Oh,
this
they're
one
trying
makes
not
me
to offend
feel a
you.
little better because I'm obesity class 1.
Okay. Well, that's better. Then you probably aren't like, so apparently 35. There's a lot of debate about what goes on under 35, but over 35 BMI, you're definitely obese.
This is saying
And like,
I'm 30 to 34.9.
Well, you
And
just you squeak through. But so I was right. I'm very good at judging what's fat and what's obese and what's overweight. I know this stuff. You should have just trusted me. I have a built. It's like I can tell someone. You remember?
No,
Leigh-Ann?
a
this is
photometer. You have a
This-
photometer.
I've got an
this one
incredible.
says that this one says overweight is 25 to 29.9.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true.
Right. So then technically, I'm also overweight.
And like BMI, so people like debunking BMI. BMI is like a general reference range for gauging this stuff. So if you are muscular, there is a certain amount of things you need to consider, like muscle weighs more than fat. But generally speaking, people who are morbidly obese are just fat. people.
Morbidly.
I love
Morbidly.
I love those people. You can see they're totally fat, and then they say to you, "Yo, but my muscle weighs more than my fat."
No.
No, but it's a true problem for, like, if you put a bunch of rugby
water
players
weight.
through BMI, it's not they're going to be off
Yeah,
the chart.
rugby players, Leigh-Ann, not people in scooters
Okay.
scooting around to the nearest Debonair's.
Okay, but the point is that there's a line. So where do we fit in? Did they rank the other countries?
Oh, like America's like number 16. So there's no way we're topping even the top 50 on this. Like America's like number 16 on this map. It's just a bunch of countries. I think the top 10 ends with Samoa because they also have the same problem. And these small populations with like these small populations is just like ridiculous amount of fast food joints.
Well, I don't know. I think we are up there. I have to be honest. I mean, I just walking around again. This is pure experience, and I can't justify this under laboratory conditions and say I have the research and the statistics, and we've done a complete national survey, obviously. But I think that when you look around South Africa, there are definitely big problems when it comes to
Big problems.
big problems coming to people being overweight. I mean, listen, I do think that we probably have a large population that also go to the gym and exercise and do that stuff. But I think we've got a big obesity problem in this country. I don't think we should lie to ourselves and pretend that just because we're not in the top 10 on this particular survey that you've seen that we're not in trouble. We're in trouble.
No,
Don't
we
you
are.
agree?
No, we
Yeah.
are in trouble. Like we should put down that KFC and that Coca-Cola, Ryan.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but then also we should stop crossing the road because they're cars and buses.
Oh, no.
Busing.
Crossing the road because you need to get to the other side and calculating the risks of not being hit because you can actually see what's coming along and you've got 3D vision. I mean, that's very different to
Well, actually,
well,
the chances
gonna-
of being hit become more if you're bigger.
so in other words, if you're fat, you're screwed on 2 counts. But you have control over what you put into your mouth. Let's not pretend anyone else is doing that to you. That's
Yeah.
what I'm always saying, you know? You've got the hands that put the stuff into your big Tyrannosaurus Rex jaws. Well, stop it.
And it's okay. Like it's like technically speaking, I'm overweight for my height. I know I'm gonna do something about it next year. It's a New Year's resolution. We started talking about this?
No,
Have we started talking about New Year's resolutions?
no.
What
We
do
need
you
to
mean?
get.
No?
We need to get through December first.
I have done and failed New Year's resolutions 46 times. So
Through and through.
Well,
I'm over it.
yeah, Leigh-Ann, just you know what you should go back to is what we said in 2020: stay safe, stay home, and then you won't have to worry about any of this. Cars like knocking you over, hamburgers. hamburgers jumping involuntarily into your mouth. All of that. If you just stay safe, stay home.
Listen, guys.
Certainly not what I'm doing anymore, but yes.
I got to head out, but you have a good session with Dr. Hanan, and I'll see you
cheers.
a bit
Thanks,
later.
Ryan. There's Ryan on his way. All right. So anyway, this survey says that there's only 17,000 people on this Cook Island little territory, and they've got 55% obesity. I want us to see what our latest statistics are. I don't even think our State Department of Health even knows. I don't think they know.
They don't. They don't. We barely got through a census, Gareth.
What was it again about chest out and stomach in?
Stomach in, chest out. And that was just the police.
That was just the police.
So, all right. Here's the problem. Like, I wish they'd invite me to debate the national health insurance in Parliament, because I'd pitch up with free burgers for everybody. And then I'd say, while they were busy stuffing because those people in Parliament are all fat, right? All of them. So they would all be stuffing their faces with like KFC. And then I'd get up to make my speech and I'd say, right, ladies and gentlemen, look around you and count the fat people in your immediate vicinity. And I want you to remember that I and every other South African outside of Parliament is not paying for you and the heart disease that you're inflicting on yourself. We refuse to be responsible for your bills. Go and fuck yourselves, like Elon Musk said the other day. Stop making your problems everyone else's problems. Stop eating the whole time. You sit in Parliament, you sleep, you eat, and now you want the rest of the country to pay for your health or lack thereof. No, you can't even be responsible for you. Now you want me to be responsible for you as well? No, not going to happen. And then they would all definitely not applaud. And they'd sit there going, you know how you get that fat people sad look? They it's like when you point out that they've had 3 scoops of ice cream too many, and they go, they pull this face like, oh, he's just hit me right where it hurts in my flabbiness. I'm like, yeah.
In my flabby.
in my everywhere.
Not like they would applaud and like, yes, Gareth, you made a good point. They would hate me from that moment on, but it wouldn't change the truth. And this is one of the reasons I'm worried about this stuff. Everybody goes, you're so mean to fat people. It's not even that. It's like, if we don't sort this out as a country, the costs ratchet up and it becomes everyone's problem. So it doesn't matter how much I run or Leigh-Ann runs or Bakh'abantu runs. It doesn't matter how much we cut back on eating terrible food or feeding our kids or our friends or whatever bad food, because those people who are dragging the whole health system down, and heart disease is the single biggest killer in the world.
Yes.
Now that we live in this 21st century.
I must admit, I lose a lot more sleep over stupid people than I do fat people. Wow. I really do. Like,
seems like
if
a
I were
race for
to be
last place,
stuck
Leigh-Ann.
on an island with a fat person or someone just fucking stupid, then I'd rather choose the fat person.
But what are we going to do? Take away stupid people's votes? There'd only be about 20 of us in South Africa who could vote. All of them who listen to this show.
Oh, that IQ reveal in terms of statistics was a wake-up call.
That's very scary. So people don't like to talk about that, but it's a real thing. Here's Dr. Hanan. Let's get into some important stuff. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey, guys, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Awesome.
Maybe I always forget when Dr. Hanan's coming on that he's listening to us before. And then I think of the last thing I said. And then I think how embarrassing that I just said that in front of a psychologist.
Dr. Hanan's like, Leigh-Ann has problems. Leigh-Ann has problems. Yeah.
We all have problems. Okay, so we can talk at another stage about self-control and whether or not people are responsible for their own weight and all of that stuff, because I'm sure you deal with plenty of that too. I mean, it's often
it's
mental
a very
health.
important conversation, very much discipline, self-control, and the opposite of being impulsive. Yeah, it's a good topic.
So we don't have time for that this morning because I've got an email here from Sasha who emailed you for advice on how to best deal with this difficult situation without causing a rift between her partner and his parents. So listen to this. Sasha says, my boyfriend and I have been together for over 2 years. We recently decided to move in together. This decision is not made lightly. We had numerous discussions and finances, living arrangements, conversations, etc. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's parents are not as enthusiastic about our decision. I understand their reservations stem from cultural and religious beliefs, but given that we're not married, so obviously the parents want them to be married before they move in together. Despite this, given the current economic climate, it seems practical for us to cohabit and save for our future together. I'm hesitant to engage in conversations with his parents, as it seems they may not be receptive to logic and the reality of our circumstances. What do you say, Doc?
So there are a couple of important points here, and relationships are not a straight line; they're very nuanced. And of course, it would be easy to say, well, turn to your future potential parents-in-law and just say, "If you, this is our lives. We're going to move in together, whether you like it or not." But I don't think it has to be as simple as that, or it needs to be, or it must be as simple as that. I think a couple of things that you've got to consider. Life sometimes puts you on the fence and you have a choice between easy and easy. And those are really beautiful moments, and life kind of offers you a gift. And whatever you choose, you're going to gain. And sometimes life puts you in an even easier position where you have a choice between easy and hard, or something that's valuable and something that's not. And then that's an even easier because the contrast is so stark and so different. You choose the one that's more valuable. But sometimes life puts you in a position where you have a decision between disgusting and despicable, or difficult and even worse. And this is one of these cases. How do we manage a situation where, well, I want to move in with my boyfriend because it's financially viable, this is what we want to do, great love, blah, 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 but how do I not upset his parents? And it seems in this case that you're going to upset someone. There's a cost to either positions. So if you're going to move in with your boyfriend, you're going to upset his parents. And if you're not going to move in with your boyfriend, then obviously financially there's a cost to that as well. And you have to ask yourself, where is there more value and less cost? Now, what I will say to you, first of all, that it's not you that should be addressing his parents. It's him that should be addressing his parents. And the reason why I would say he should be addressing his parents, because obviously I'm assuming the relationship between him and his parents are much closer than your relationship with his parents. And you shouldn't be seen as the bad one making these decisions. So I would first of all sit down with your boyfriend and ask, well, which one has got more value and less cost out of the two positions that we have? So moving in, well, there's a certain cost to your parents and them being upset with us. And you know your parents, turn to the boyfriend and say, you know your parents better than I do, or we both know your parents. Will they be able to adapt and eventually accept us? The answer will either be yes, or maybe, or no. Now that's option number one. Option number two, let's stay separate. Let's not move in together, not upset your parents. Now, what is the cost of our relationship? Are we going to be able to see it through? Financially, are we going to be able to manage? Will we then, by the way, resent your parents for putting us in that position and work out the cost in that case? So work out the value and the cost. And once you have decided together as a team what decision we should be making, and it could be one or the other or somewhere in between, your boyfriend should go out and speak to his parents and negotiate. And be very firm in terms of your position and make sure that he doesn't throw you under the bus, because it's very easy to turn to the parents and say, well, Sasha made this decision, but no, this is what's right for us as a unit, understanding that your relationship with your husband's relationship with you is going to think that's going to carry you for the next 50 years. That relationship is paramount. We've made a decision and this is what we're going to do, and be able to negotiate maybe somewhere in the middle, but let your boyfriend have this conversation.
I mean, that all sounds easy to do, Doc, but we know that people play games and that there's manipulation that'll happen. And you just mentioned one of the potential manipulation things that could happen is that, like, he in that moment says, oh, well, it's what she wants. You kind of have to do this even in business. You have to be very honest. You have to say, this is what I'm interested in. This is what you're interested in. This is where they diverge. This is where they come together. We're a team in this, or as an individual, this is how I feel. But for some people, it's very difficult to stand on their own 2 feet, though. We've just got to admit that up front, is that, like, whether it's confidence, whether it's not being sure of your argument, A lot of people aren't comfortable just coming out with what they really want and saying what they actually mean.
As a matter of fact, I think that's the most difficult question. If you ask 100 people, what do you want? 99 will be like, and they'll mumble and they stumble the way through their answer because people don't know what they want. You know, people do this experiment. Ask yourself, ask the people that are closest to you, what do you want? What are your goals in life? And people will just mumble. They start speaking gibberish, and they'll give you a very general answer. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want to be wealthy. I want to have good. I mean, those are very fluffy nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. So you're right. People don't know what they want, but that is why it's so important for Sasha and her boyfriend to sit down and decide what do they want as a unit, and what are they willing to negotiate and compromise. And by the way, again, these are all just kind of general conversation pieces or points. I don't know the relationship between the fiance or the boyfriend and the parents. Maybe they have an unbelievable relationship, and you can turn to them and say, can you understand X, Y, Z? Maybe the parents are very mature. Maybe the parents are very immature. And maybe the parents financially support them. So now they have a little bit more leverage, and now you have to give in a little bit more than you expected to. So this is all very nuanced, and we don't have all the data. But what is important is for Sasha and her boyfriend to agree on a position and what they're willing to compromise and negotiate on, and let the boyfriend go and communicate that.
All right, but Doc, another problem that we've got here is that, as you say, there's a financial aspect to this. They even acknowledge that in the email. Sasha does. Some people are not economically independent. They're not financially capable of making a decision without that decision impacting where the money's coming from, who controls the purse strings, or whatever else that is. And people will use that as an excuse too. They say, oh, well, we didn't have an option because of money, or we had to do what his parents wanted because they were providing us with the money, or they own the house that we live in, or whatever. At what point does that sound like an excuse? And at what point is that a feasible and justifiable situation for you to bring into play in a conversation about this?
I think it's very important. I was reading an article actually last night, the top 50 things that have been gone in the past 50 years. And one of them was the rotary phone. The other one was owning a house. And people financially are much less likely to be able to afford to own a house these days than they were 50 years ago. So financially, it is a real thing, you know, where parents are supporting, they're helping, they are giving money, they are paying bonds, they're helping with raising kids, even your kids, their grandchildren. So that is real, and that can't be ignored. So again, if that is your position and you cannot afford to live separately, and you have to move in together because of financial reasons, well, that's your non-negotiable. That on the other hand, if his parents are supporting you financially, well, then they have a lot more leverage. And you know, the golden rule, whoever has the gold makes the rules. So if they have the financial leverage, well, then they make the rules. That's just the way it works. But again, that has to be discussed in the conversation with us.
I have a question, Doug. So how do you argue, like what, logic to someone who's just arguing from basis of emotion? Because it seems like Sasha has a very valid point, but I just know it will be like, if you respect us as parents, then you will do what we say.
Yeah. It's such a good question. We should have a whole show about it. But you know, Bakh'abantu, you know, when you go logic versus emotion, it's like mixing oil and water. The logic doesn't understand emotion, emotion doesn't understand logic. In this case, you always want to try to bring it back to fact, to bring it back to logic, because when you have two emotional conversations, it's like having two little kids arguing and start talking about things that are not even part of the conversation. And then what happens is personal insults are being thrown either way. So always bring back to the facts. But I will say this: once you make a decision as a couple, stick to that decision, because I will always say this: human beings are terrible at predicting. We can't predict for anything, but we are amazing at adapting. But we can only adapt to what's real. And if you as a couple choose to move in together, your parents will adapt. And if you choose to not move in together, your relationship will adapt. as long as you commit to a position and don't vacillate between one or the other.
All right, well, there's some hard and solid advice there. I don't think everybody wants to necessarily hear it, but that's what you got to pay attention to. I love it. Thanks, Doc.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll talk about this self-discipline and self-control thing.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah,
I can't wait to tell you about it.
All right, thanks. Very nice to see you, Dr. Hanan, and almost the end of the year. So we had our lunch with Dr. Hanan the other day. We do it like a once-a-year thing, and I wish we could do it more, but then I almost feel like I was going to therapy. Although I'll tell you what, he sits there and he's as smart and useful as he is on the show, and you walk out of there feeling like you've got some good advice. I hope that is what Monday mornings do for you. And if it doesn't, we got to rework that. So send in your questions like Sasha did, and if you've got an issue that you need resolved, remember you can come to us for a free session. It could be mediation. It could be just some general advice. You know, how often do you get like the best psychologist in Joburg to help you out? And the rest of us learn from it. So you don't have to feel embarrassed. Whatever your problem is, like, you know, Sasha's problem is she's not the only one, guaranteed. You bring it, the rest of us benefit from it. You're doing a bit of philanthropy at the same time. You're helping along all the other people. I say, bring your
hope.
Whomsoever wants to come, let him come. Bring your problem to us. We're ready to
Come,
hear.
my son.
All right. Loads of other stuff. Apparently, tomorrow is like for some people the last day of school. Is it tomorrow?
Oh.
I think so. Yeah. So there's some
Wouldn't
people
be
who finish
surprised.
school tomorrow. There are a couple of others in the next few days. Obviously, for those of us who are working, we've still got a couple of days left of the working year, but it's TikTok. Before
And
you
the
know
rest
it,
of our lives.
Oh, stop it, Leigh-Ann. All right. You know, don't drag it down. We were having so much fun there for a second. Yes. All right. We'll be back in a moment.
Going to cricket is obviously fun. It's a great thing to do in South Africa because it's hot and you can braai and you can drink beer. And it's actually one of those more affordable kind of days out. And not the worst first date option either. If you like sports.
That's a good idea.
It's more engaging than going to a movie.
Sure.
If you think about it that way, you get to drink, you get to look around, you're essentially having like a dinner/lunch date. So don't poo-poo cricket because you don't like it.
And there's live action happening, so if you've got a boring date, it distracts you from each other.
And there's lots of people around, so if your date's really terrible, you can maybe even find another one.
A different one.
So never discredit.
Yes, exactly.
Never discredit how good cricket is in this country.
There we go.
All right.
Beyond the Scoreboard with Ben, powered by Super Bets, and they support responsible gambling. You need to know this. Why? Because if you gamble and you win, it's great. But winners know when to stop.
Hey, this is Macy Gray. You are listening to Celeb Savant with Barrett Edelstein.
Louise Carver.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely.
Bars and Melody.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Some really good questions. Usually they're boring.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Usually interviews are boring. This one got me going.
Perez Hilton.
They would call me Web Celeb, which I actually want that to make a comeback. I think that's cute. Web Celeb.
Hey, Barrett Edelstein here, host of the Celeb Savant podcast. You can find it every Friday morning at 9 o'clock only on cliffcentral.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All right, all right, all right. Yeah, there's some Christmas music in the break that just shows
Oh,
you that.
yes.
That was so depressing.
No, it's not depressing. I love Christmas. Come on, don't be like that, you Grinch. What the hell's wrong with you?
Come
Don't
on.
like Christmas? Kind of person
No,
doesn't
no.
like Christmas.
Well, the Grinch, but hey. No, it's not I hate Christmas, Gareth. It's just that I just realized when I heard that music is that everyone gets to go home. Everyone gets that 2-week break. I don't because I work for the health services.
And your life is so hard. Didn't you choose a terrible career? Someone asked me over the weekend, they're like, oh, when do you break for your holiday? So I said 22nd of December. They're like, oh, boy, that's so late. You have to work right until Christmas. I was like, yeah, but we're going to have fun. We're not going to be taking things seriously. By that last week, trust me, we're going to be just messing around.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I took off 2 weeks around Christmas was when it was mandated by my varsity or school. But otherwise, I've worked every single Christmas period of my life.
No, there's nothing wrong with working at this time of year. Actually, the best thing about it is that while everybody else is buggering around, you're working, but it's also not that hard to work during December, let's face it, because you get more done. There aren't so many interruptions. There aren't so many meetings. Most of the people who do nothing around the office, they're away, so you can get shit done yourself. Let's look at the positives.
That is true.
And you can take your holiday when everybody else is back at work and they're all miserable because they've already used up all their goodwill and you've still got some. That's a nice thing. So for those people who are working over the holidays, you're our heroes, especially the ones who are going all the way through, like Christmas, New Year. I used to quite like driving in to work on the day before Christmas or the week before because there's hardly any traffic. You're on your own on the road. You're thinking, wow, this is what the place would be like if there was a zombie apocalypse. And I kind of like it.
Or COVID.
Let's be honest with you. I kind of liked it. It felt kind of good. Yeah.
Wow, Gareth, that's a very roundabout way of saying that I am your hero, but I accept.
You are sort of. You know what, Bakh'abantu? Own it. I'm happy for you to take that away from this conversation, is that you are my hero. And I'll start singing that Bette Midler song if you're not careful. Carl says, atheists the world over spend 11 months shitting on religion and then love to celebrate Christmas. I know. It's my favorite thing is Christians get really upset with me when I say,
stop us.
no, Christians are so cross with me. They're like, you can't have Christmas. I'm like, yes, I can. And I can have
no rules.
Ramadan, and I can have Diwali. I can have all of them, and I don't have to do the stupid shit you guys have to do all year. I can enjoy myself all year round and take your holidays, and I can benefit from all of them. There's nothing you can do. In fact, I've decided I'm having Ramadan and Christmas and Diwali next year, and you can't stop me. It's good to be the king. Right?
Yeah.
All the ice cream and cake and the
gravy and cheese
this year.
Oh my God, I found that the other day. Didn't I send it to you?
I sent it to you.
Wait,
it was off of my YouTube channel.
What is that?
It was
we used to
video. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You found it. Go on, explain.
It was a video of us trying to get Damon to sing a Christmas parody song. Damon, who has no rhythm. And we had tried to record him for about 5 weeks, recording this one song, just getting the words on the beat. That's all we wanted. Just him not singing the verse during the chorus and vice versa. Yeah. And it was just the celebrations when he finally got it right. But it took all of us to
oh my God.
clap and to make a noise on the desk and show him when to speed up and slow down.
So we basically, we used to do, I used to force all of these poor people like Leigh-Ann and Mabali and Damon and CS and everybody else to sing Christmas songs. And because I love Christmas, I wanted everyone else to be on the same level. So I would force them to do these parody Christmas carols where I'd like write about Leigh-Ann's breasts or about Damon's eating habits, or Mabali used to sing "I'm dreaming of a white this Christmas," and like we could get away with a lot more in those days because people had a sense of humor, and it's just not worth doing that stuff these days. Can you imagine what it would do for Leigh-Ann among the feminists who are her friends if she had to sing about her breasts?
Yeah.
It's not worth it. But we used to have a lot of fun, and maybe we'll play the one or two of those Christmas songs heading up towards Christmas.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I
still have
definitely want to listen to this.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. All right, so let's look at a couple of things that are going on in the world because we don't want to be accused of not paying attention to what's happening. Apparently, Leigh-Ann, you leaned on 3 of your real sports journalist friends recently for a couple of minutes, and it was a full-on journey that you didn't expect. Explain this. It sounds like a good story.
So my 3 sporting journalist friends, I have many actually. The 3 I decided to lean on. Actually, I was going to just lean on one. So basically, I needed to publish a social media post for a brand which sponsors a sports team. So it was incredibly important that I got the facts right in this post. Right. This post, because it was a handover, was handed over to me by designers and copywriters who I don't know from a bar of soap. So there was no ways I was just going to blindly publish this post. I needed to know the facts, being a journalist myself. Of course, I went to Google, but I don't know sport, as the 3 of us will, contest to. So I ran the post by, who did I contact first? Oh, Ben.
Yes. We know him. Yes, we know Ben.
Sent it to Ben. His response was very Benish. It was dismissive, rude, unkind. And basically he said, how the fuck would I know, Leigh-Ann? I would have to Google it just like you would.
that sounds so Ben. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
So
right.
There I scratched out the word from my sports friends. I scratched out the word friend and then went on to see us. And by the by, this post had to be posted within an hour to be valid. It was about when the kickoff. Time. Yeah, it was about when kickoff was. And send it to CS. Receive a response quite CSE, in other words, laid back. Gave me the answers that I needed, except for a few. And then I said to him, thank you so much. And he said, you know what, Leigh-Ann, anytime. You beep me, buzz me, anytime, I'm here for you. 2 minutes later, I remembered something else that I needed to ask him, and he didn't answer. Eventually, I was going ping, 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 hello, 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 hello. This is 2 seconds after him saying anytime.
So far, you've been let down by 2 people.
He comes back to me. He comes back to me and goes, sorry, I was walking Finn. And I honestly don't know if that's his child or his dog. But I think he was at the braai, I think. I don't know. He was tending to cooking the meat. But that's our dear old CS, who can be like as KwaZulu-Natal laid back as you get.
Yeah. Yes.
So during that lapse when CS was walking the dog child, I contacted Mbulelo, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, he took a while to get back to me, but in his case, I understand because he's a busy person. Yeah. Out of the 3, I think he's probably the one who's most likely to be busy doing something, something sports related, in fact.
Something jogging somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, either for his personal fitness or for the sporting world of South Africa.
Sure.
His response was long and engaging, and I think we spoke for about 10 minutes on everything. The detail he went into. For instance, I'm just scrolling through here. Just remember, if the post is for Africa at large, moving forward, the time must always have CAT. Seems silly, but for East and West Africans, it's a vital detail. Working at Supersport has taught me this. he went as far as there was a little animated guy kicking a soccer ball in the post. He went as far as to saying his uniform might be the wrong colors. He was picking out the tiniest details. It's exactly what I needed. Exactly what I needed. He was also sympathetic as to say, I'm sorry that you got handed this post and no one's been helping you. If you need help in future, in fact, can you send me the next few posts and I'll help you out with them?
Oh, Jesus. No, it doesn't sound like he's busy enough.
It does.
No, he's thorough.
No, he just made you feel like you'd been heard.
And it's so unlike
That
Mbulela.
too.
Exactly. You see, this is why I attest with Gareth that he doesn't sound like he's busy. He's even taking times to take care of your feelings.
You see that this again, like I hate to go back to something we talked about in the first hour, but women and men are after different things. You wanted someone to pay attention, help you, hear you out, and actually be available to kind of guide you through what you weren't sure.
Number one, I need the facts. I needed the facts.
Okay.
That was my whole reason for reaching out.
Yeah, well, I think, Leigh-Ann, you were looking for a friend, whereas because it's interesting, like you said immediately, that you scratched the word friend from Ben because he said to you, I don't know if I can Google it, right? But actually, if you Googled it, you would have got the facts, but you weren't really looking for the facts. You weren't. You were looking for someone to help you.
You know what? To be honest, I searched high and low. It's sports people and sports media. I don't know why, but they don't give it to you straight. They talk in riddles.
Yeah. No, you're
it's
right
like
about
they're
that.
hiding some of the information. So you never really know. You can never get a straight story with just like this happened, then that happened, and that happened. The next time we see each other will be at this time on Sunday. Kickoff is, it's never like that. It's like back off of the fury of the fiery loss between. It's like, no, just give me the facts.
Yeah.
Google doesn't do that for you when it comes to sport.
There is a bit of a shorthand that sports journalists speak in as well. They kind of know what they're talking about, but the rest of us don't. So Carl says, man, I really miss Mbulelo. Get that mofo back on, please. Yeah. And Carl says, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah,
that's true.
And that's also good. It doesn't sound like Mbulelo. I say it does, says Snipes. You deserve no response if you can't even differentiate between your friend's child or dog, says Sunnet.
Finn.
Funny. All right. Well, you know what, Leigh-Ann? What have you learned from this about the reliability of these people?
You know what I did learn and what I'm going to do, and in fact, what I have done, I have emailed the football club itself to ask for their fixtures and dates, because that way, if I get anything wrong, it was their fault.
That's right. Yeah, you see, you've got someone to blame. Very important. That's always a good strategy, is find someone to blame. And if something goes wrong, always claim that you knew it was going to go wrong, even though you didn't.
I just say I told you so.
People who retrofit the facts, they're like, oh, no, I could tell that this was going to be a fuck up long before you could. You're like,
exactly. No, hindsight is 20/20, but no one.
I know what I heard and what I saw before. You didn't know this was coming. No, I did. I knew it was coming. No bullshit. All right. So speaking of which, I saw this on social media over the weekend, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. It's a picture of Josienzo Ramajopa, the Minister of Electricity. He says the generators will be used as backup to alleviate the impacts of load shedding and the delivery of services, blah, blah, blah. So these are these Chinese generators they delivered. And then in the picture, he's like hurt his arm or his hand, and he's wearing like a sling. So someone immediately in the comments, Runiwa Matepe, says, you've been receiving handouts so much that you've even injured your hand. No, there is no chill in South Africa. We just have no respect for
like what might say South Africa's extra.
I love
When I saw that, I immediately pictured him in the control room, pushing one of the on-off buttons and getting electrocuted in the process.
Hurting his hand or taking such a bag of money that he actually broke his wrist picking up the money. Fucking crooks. All right. So there's an interesting story here on Trevor Noah, who claimed a 3 million rand humanities award. He collected the Erasmus Prize from the King of Holland, King Wilhelm of Holland. So what do we know about this?
So, okay, a couple of takeaways from here, right? I don't know what humanitarian work Trevor Noah is doing. I'm not a big Trevor Noah fan. I think he's a very successful man. Big up to him. I think he blows a lot of hot wind in the air.
Not like he's doing what Mr. Beast is doing and building
exactly.
wells.
And we hate Mr. Beast, right? Because
apparently we don't like Mr. Beast because God forbid you should give people in rural villages water. He's a bad guy.
But make them laugh, because like laughter is the best medicine. Not really. Medicine is the best medicine.
Dude.
But yeah, so like, okay, but like, so I read the story. I was very bored, Gareth, and my biggest takeaway, I didn't know like Netherlands had a king. I was very surprised by this fact.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, wait, they have a monarchy.
In fact, the King of Netherlands visited South Africa just a short while ago with his wife. And they were here. They were in South Africa, and none of us really even noticed. But
well, it's because they spent all their time in Edenvale at that Dutch bakery with the windmill.
Well, maybe that would have been a useful time spent for them, because at least they would have been, I don't know, looking after something Dutch in South Africa that's doing well. But I think they came here, and then on his way back, he said to his wife, "Weet je, ik begripte dat hier in Zuid-Afrika dan een of twee nogal beroemd de mensen was hier in de land van Zuid-Afrika." And his wife went, yeah, this waar. And then they got back to Holland, and they're like, well, we better make a fuss of some South Africans.
Yeah,
and the only one they could think of that wasn't a corrupt politician was like, wat van die Trevor Noah? Oh, hij is daarom goed. Oh, and then they like hand him the prize. I mean, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. And
it's probably what happened, because I went through the story.
So, I follow Dumi on social media, and she's obviously on the show often, and we'll ask her about it when she's next on. But I saw Dumi Morake was in Holland to celebrate with Trevor when he got his award, which is awesome. Great for her. We'll have to hear what it was all about. But humanitarian, I don't know. I mean, he's making people laugh. He's doing good work. He's a very, very solid guy. But humanitarian, is there stuff we don't know? What is he?
I battled to find something in the story.
Like, what's the humanitarian thing he's done?
I battled to find what he did in the story. Besides that, I guess he's a great comedian.
Okay. Well, that's a reason. It's not a great reason, but it's a reason. I think a lot of these awards are just such nonsense. I mean, maybe this one's a good one, and as I said, maybe we don't know the reasons, but I think about like the Nobel Peace Prize when they gave it to Obama, and I'm like, well, he hadn't even been president for like 2 or 3 months, and he'd done nothing at that point. And then they oh, here's your Nobel Prize, President Obama. He's like, well, thank you. I'm very pleased about this. And then he goes back to Washington. He puts it on his shelf or whatever. You think, Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu and F.W. de Klerk and Albert Luthuli, these people, and those are only the 4 South Africans who ever won the Nobel Peace Prize, they kind of deserved it, because Nelson Mandela and F.W. de Klerk shepherded this country through a very, very troubling and difficult time without civil war breaking out. That's a massive achievement, and it took both of them to do it. Yeah. So I'm all for that. And, Desmond Tutu was like our spiritual guru during that time. He helped to also get people spiritually where the politicians were getting us practically. And he definitely deserved that. Albert Luthuli, obviously, in founding the ANC and being such an important role player in early political Black consciousness, in forming the ANC and helping to deliver certain rights and trying to campaign for others. He obviously deserved his. You look at like Obama and you think, well, what? Because you were the first like mixed race person to be elected. Now you must get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's like me giving Leigh-Ann an award for this morning just because she's the only woman on the show today.
Well, representation, Gareth. She's trailblazing.
What did you do to change the world? Nah, I was just a woman on this show. Yeah, great. Well, that's kind of how it was. So I look at these awards sometimes and I think, what is it? Like, And people put awards on their CVs, I mean, that's a real reason to put something on your CV. If you won like a Nobel or this Erasmus Prize that Trevor Noah won, that's a big deal because people go, wow. But I wonder, like, who the people are who decide where the awards go and who they go to. Because, I mean, some of it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as, I mean, you look at Hollywood and the Oscars, and it's like they've either got a big wheel of fortune that they spin, or it's whose turn is next. It is the same as when South Africa stopped becoming serious. It all became about, when I say serious, I mean about just beauty. And then it all came about, well, we need someone from the Eastern Cape to win this time. This time it needs to be a blonde woman. This time it needs to be a black woman. This time it needs to be a black woman with natural hair. It's just like, it's all statistics and fun and games, really.
Well, while we're talking about CVs and awards and stuff, what do you put on your Instagram biography? Because you changed yours just the other day. You told me that you've changed your IG bio. What do you do? What do you do there? Because I can't put a serious thing there. I feel like an idiot if I actually put my.
It's horrible. It's the worst thing ever. I mean, the reason why I'm re-looking at everything is because of my new position. So naturally, you need to do things like update your LinkedIn and your place of work. You don't want it to be an old place of work sitting there. And so you end up kind of reviewing all of your bios, really. And it feels so false, really. It feels like it made me think that in the past, I've often put my bios as my job. But when it comes to something like Instagram or something personal, what do? It's very much about how you identify as, and I don't mean sexually or gender-wise. It's almost as if what you would want on your tombstone or how you'd want to be remembered, or is it what you perceive other people think you are? Are you just your job? Like if you're a social worker, do you put social worker?
Okay, so what do you put? What's on yours? Come on, we're all itching at the crotch.
Oh, well, I mean, it's really, I honestly, it feels cheesy. That's the thing. If you put anything else there, it's cheesy. Sometimes people have a Bible verse. Mine just says now, forging paths, winning battles, finding treasures, revised version loading. Still feels cheesy. What do you do?
That's kind of cheesy, hey? Forging paths.
Forging paths.
Exactly. Thank you. Forging paths. That's very good.
Wow.
What do you do? I mean, what are your guises, for instance?
I changed mine the other day because I was just bored. I used to have like semi-conscious primate or something, and then I thought, some people are going to think you're trying to be too clever or whatever. So I put up my favorite dictum from ancient. It was Socrates' nostrum. Really, he said, "Know thyself," but I put it in Greek and in Latin, so that stupid people will leave me alone on Instagram, because I don't want, like, if I put it in Latin and Greek, they're not going to think about it too much because they're going to be too stupid and they're not going to bother to translate it. And then I hate
to tell you this, but it says see translation right below it to other users.
Does? Okay, well then.
And when I click it, it says the first part in Latin, or whatever it is, and then it says a knee to him.
That's not right. It's meant to be know that.
So you were talking about stupid people. You see how hard it is.
No. So the stupid people will go a knee to him. So in other words, like a knee in the fucking throat or whatever you want to say. I could do it. See, maybe I should just get rid of every.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
Get rid of it. Yeah, it's too much work. I hate this. What is yours, Bakh'abantu?
Mine is sic parvis magna. That
wow, you're also doing some Latin.
Right. I was so surprised.
What is your handle?
It is what it is.
It's Bantu _GQ. Follow me on the socials.
What is sic parvis magnum?
Greatness from small beginnings.
Okay. Very
Bantu,
good.
Bantu, BANTH.
No, TU.
But there's no Bantu _G.
Oh my God. Yeah. Look,
okay, yours doesn't say C translation.
Yeah, no, mine is sic parvis magna. Actual Camilla, that's my clan name.
So then what I can do,
contributor
I'll
on
just,
the Gareth Cliff show.
all right, so I'll just edit out the Greek part of it and only leave the Roman part, the Latin part, and then
The Latin, yeah.
yeah, and then they'll be confused, but they won't have a way to figure it out. I like that.
But you see, I think it's awkward how we even spend this much time on it. It's cringy. Like it's a turn off.
It is how you present yourself to the world. So you have to think about it, even if you're not the serious kind of person who's constantly worried about your brand. You know, if I have to meet another person who's worried about their brand, I'm going to shit my pants. Okay, let's get into some other stuff, because actually what we need on a Monday morning, and what we should have every day of our lives if you've got your head right, is none other than our own best friend, Brent Lindeque. And I say he's our best friend because he's an original member of the Cliff Central family. He is the good things guy. He's gone on to achieve amazing things. He's a writer, a radio host. He's a keynote speaker, and he's got a new book. Hello, Brent Lindeque. How the hell are you?
Good morning. It's a little bit early, I think, for December vibes. I had too much weekend this weekend.
No, dude. I love the enthusiasm. If there's anything I absolutely love, it's an abundance of enthusiasm. It's the opposite that gets me down. It's those cynical, jaded people who are like, oh, yeah, it's a Monday. So how are you? What's news?
I'm really good, Gareth, and you mentioned it. Here's my proof. It came through last week. First print run started last week, and we're going to start delivering these guys next week, which I'm really excited about.
All right. So tell me what brought about the book, because you've already done, you've been having it. You've basically online, you've been helping people to find the good stories, to think positively, to move their lives in a positive direction. This has actually worked for you in your life. And we have a big problem in this world. We've discussed this a million times, Brent, so just forgive me if there's some repetition here. But for the people who don't know, you've got this reptile brain at the center of your head that directs everything to fight or flight. It's all about survival. And you're basically primed to just comb the world for facts that are going to make you frightened, afraid, force you to make immediate decisions that are not necessarily the best decisions for you, just from a survival point of view. And as a result, bad news goes much further and does more in your head than good news ever does. So you are fighting a very difficult battle here by trying to get us to pay attention to the good news, but you're winning.
Look, I've been doing this now for 9 years, as you said, OG of Cliff Central, back when you started 9 years ago. And the whole idea was to share one good news story with South Africa every single day. And that quickly became so much more. It's now Good Things Guy is South Africa's top good news site. I've got journalists that are working every single day. We tell up to 15 good news stories. So we're making headway in that noise of bad news. Beautiful. And you asked, where did the book come from? Well, this year we've told nearly 4,000 good news stories on the site. And I was like, where else could it live, right? We've got the website, we've got the app, we're on the socials. Perhaps we need to take 100 was the number, 100 good news stories from this year, our favorite ones as a team, and put it into a book. And that's exactly what happened. And it all happened quite quickly. It was about 2 months ago that we sort of threw it together. And let me tell you, and you would know, you've written a couple of books. Putting a book together is not an easy thing. It was the hardest.
It's difficult, and you worry about it way more than you do about something you put on the internet, because you think, well, this thing's forever. Someone's going to pick up this book. Someone's going to pick up this book in 10 years or in 20 years' time, and they're going to say, oh, well, this guy was full of shit, which you wouldn't do on the internet, because you just think, oh, well, that's just an internet blog. You know, nobody cares about that.
And also, I'm sure it's going to have loads of typos. I found the day before we went to print, I found a glaring problem. And I'm sure there's going to be more, but we don't. We just give these things to the world, right? It's out there now. Let's see what happens when the first reader picks it up.
So what have you been up to with Mandy Wiener? I saw you doing talks with her. What's that all about?
Yeah, so I started doing a little feature on Mandy's show, and she just won an award this weekend as the best daytime show at some sort of awards that happened over the weekend. But I do every Friday. I end her 7:02 slot, the midday report. Little bit of good news, last 10 minutes, just sort of changing people's thinking. And Mandy and I decided a while ago that it would be a really cool idea to get up on a stage and try to deliver the good news guy, and Mandy being that hard-hitting realist, and give a keynote. And it's going really, really well. So we're getting up on stages around the country and doing just that, giving the good stuff with a slice of realism as well.
I think that's absolutely brilliant. Okay, good, because you're mixing the serious stuff, which we have to know about, and you can't just hide your head in the sand, with the good news stuff. All right, so I'm going to ask you to do the most difficult thing it is possible to ask someone to do in South Africa. Just give us a couple of reasons to be optimistic and excited this December living in South Africa. What are the things that we should be grateful for, that we should be excited about, that we should be proud of? And what kind of stuff to reset our brains, to open up those neural pathways so we don't end up being miserable and sad and jaded and grumpy the whole way through Christmas?
Well, Gareth, the reality is that the stories that we tell on the website are all about South Africans, right? And that's where I think the hope is yes, the government is cuck, and our leaders are not really leaders. And a lot of the infrastructure around us, it looks like it's falling apart. We've got the potholes, we've got the load shedding, we've got all that stuff that's happening on a continuous basis. But at the crux of it, the good part about South Africa are South Africans. I like to go back to that quote. Fred Rogers said, in times of tragedy, we need to look for the helpers because they will always be there. And that's exactly why my platform exists. We tell the stories of the helpers. And they are everywhere. There are people that are really holding up South Africa and doing good things for us on a daily basis. So yes, we've got the cuck, which is one side of South Africa, but that's not the only story that we have. And I think we need to remember that there are good South Africans all around us doing good things every single day.
Okay,
How many times?
Whoa. I just need one or two so that I can bring these up the next time I hear someone bitching and moaning. One from
there's a guy in my area which we wrote about, Renier Dexel. He's 82 years old, and he spends every single day fixing potholes. So himself, his own money, his own time, he goes around the area literally fixing potholes. And the reason he does it, when I interviewed him, I asked him, why? Why are you using your time and energy to fix what should be the government's problem? And he said, because I need to look after my community. I need to make sure that people are safe on the roads. There's a good news story. There's one person doing a good thing.
That's amazing. 82 years old, you say?
82 years old, and he spends all his time fixing potholes every single day, Monday to Friday. He's out here on the roads, busy sorting out potholes.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that is very inspiring to me. I think when you hear stuff like that, you think, well, what am I doing? Like, how could I make it better? Right?
And I think that goes down to South Africans again. Taryn Johnson, she's an incredible South African. About 2 years ago, she realized that the Henops River was really dirty. Our rivers are dirty. And her belief is that we should, as human beings, be able to put a cup in a river and drink that water. Sounds crazy. Try that in the Yixgate. Don't phone me, because it'll be a huge problem.
You'll die.
You'll die, exactly. The rivers are so filthy. And she decided one random Saturday to start cleaning up the Henops River. Her community saw what she was doing. First, they thought she was nuts, seeing this woman in a river busy cleaning it up. And it took just 2 years. So her stats will come out now in November, December. But last year, she celebrated through her new charity called Henops Revival, removing 2 million kilograms of trash out of the Henops River. One person came up with an idea to fix the environment. And it's people like that are making a difference in our country every single day.
I watched, I don't know if you remember that movie called Bank of Dave. Well, it's pretty new, actually. And it's based on a true story of how a man in Burnley, this is obviously not in South Africa, in Burnley in the UK, was just completely driven by his community, uplifting to his community, just an amazing person, really. And he started lending people money, to pay for things like funeral expenses. And they would all pay him back. But while their money was not with them, he would invest a certain amount of money for them, and they would get the interest back. Any interest that he managed to make from people's money, he put back into the community. And he eventually started a bank And the last time a bank was set up was 150 years ago. That was the last time that a bank was allowed to be, started from the beginning. And he broke all the rules. And just watching how they portray this sense of community where somebody drops their file as they're getting out of a taxi and papers are strewn all over and everyone rushes around to help them. Just small things like that, which just mean so much, Yeah, so that just what you were saying about community made me think of that movie. Very, very sweet and uplifting.
Gee, that's a hell of a story. Bakh'abantu, where do you find your good news? Do you also go to Brent's site?
No, I don't dabble in good news, Gareth. I'm one of those people that...
You're such a misery
exactly.
that you dabble in good news at all. You stay away from it, right?
I stay away from that stuff. It'll make you sick, eh? I prefer to be wake up angry and hateful.
There's so many channels I follow on social media that are good news stories, and most of them are about animals. And I wanted to say that earlier as well, is how many of your stories end up being about good pets and animals doing good deeds.
Absolutely. Last week, we had a story that was trending around South Africa where Joe Berger and her mom were walking their dog, and the car got hijacked with her dog in it. I don't know if you saw that. The WhatsApps were being sent around. They were trying to find the dog, which had got dog napped, I guess you would say.
Oh,
and through community and social media, they managed to get that dog back. It was 6 hours later. The dog was found in Alex. But stories like that, yeah, the dog animal stories trend quite often.
Yeah.
Dog napping. This is a new thing for people to be worried about. Oh yeah. But what Bakh'abantu's saying, I mean, as much as he is a cynic and a Grinch, there are loads of South Africans. We're very much trapped in this thing where we get together and we complain, right? That's what we do. And that's very much the way that Brits behave. It's not really what happens in other countries, but the British are really, really grumpy. All they do is moan and complain, and the South Africans are getting like that.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got some excuses to be like that, as you said earlier. The government's cuck, etc. But what do you do on a daily basis to remind yourself not to be like that?
I think the biggest thing for me is gratitude, Gareth. That's the biggest thing that I try to focus on every day. I look at what I have, the opportunities that come my way, and even if you feel like you don't have that much, I think that right now you could think of at least 3 things that you could be grateful for right now. And I think gratitude equals happiness. I get up on stage a lot and I try to speak about motivation and inspiration and finding happiness. And I think that's what I found is gratitude is where happiness lies.
That's a very, very valuable thing. And it's so easy to do. You just switch it on. And then suddenly, because you're grateful, other people start to up their kind of energy. They start becoming a little more positive. And we've really got to focus on that, especially at this time of year, because it isn't easy for everybody. Like we all think, I certainly do. I love Christmas. I love the feeling. I love people being on holiday. They're a lot more relaxed. They're thinking about their loved ones. They're spending time with the people they want to be around. But for some people, this time of year is really, really hard.
Yeah.
But also it's interesting. It's interesting how to truly feel gratitude. And sometimes I don't think it's something that you can just turn on. You need to experience not having something. You need to have been through a hardship. It's like the only time we are really, really grateful for electricity is when it comes back on after we haven't had it. Right?
Good point.
We don't walk around when it's on going, oh, I can dry my hair. We don't even think about it. So it's kind of weird that you have to be in a position of not having something in order to appreciate it. But that's life and that's experience and that's age. And that's why so many older people are so easily displaying, happiness for something and things like family and basics like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think older people are happier than younger people, or the other way around?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, because you get a lot of grumpy old people, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And you also get a lot of young people very despondent in this country who feel like they've just been forgotten about. Why are you shaking your head, Bakh'abantu? What do you want, you Grinch?
No, you see now, you can't open up with saying that. But like, nah, I find good news stories as like, it feels like we're treating symptoms and not like actual problems. It's like, let's talk about the good news. No, the world is shit, and we need to know that the world is shit, and that's the only way we can fix it.
Oh boy! All right, Brent, come on, smack him over the head.
Okay,
Smack him over the head.
You're not wrong. And that's what I often speak about is the fact that we require balance. So yes, the world is shit, and yes, the news is really tough, and we have to know what's going on with the world so that we can fix it. So we need that news. But if you don't have some sort of good news, if you don't have balance, then you're going to live in a really negative space where you're making your choices out of fear, and like you have to have some sort of good news in your life. You have to have some sort of positivity.
Yeah, I get you. I get you, Brent. It's like your story about the old man. You know, like I just realized I have such a negative outlook on life. It's because I was like, oh, why is an 82-year-old man fixing a road that should be taken? I just found so many problems with that. So many plot holes, not potholes.
No, but this guy's doing it, Bakh'abantu. Unlike you, who's sitting and being grumpy, or me, who's sitting here being hopelessly, stupidly optimistic. He's actually getting his hands dirty. He's getting out there and doing stuff. That woman who's cleaning that river, you know, that's something any of us could do. Like we could all decide with a little bit of gratitude, again, the magic ingredient Brent was talking about just now, we could all decide to go outside today and make a difference to someone else, to the community at large, to people who you're not going to get paid for it. No one's going to thank you for it. You just do it anyway. That to me is spectacular.
That is
true.
I am a curmudgeon.
No, well, so am I sometimes. Don't worry. At least if you can recognize it and you can do something about it. I mean, that's the most important thing, because I know Brent gets a lot of shit for this. Like people going, oh, well, you're trying to inject a whole lot of optimism and blah, blah, blah. And then they start bringing up reality. But that's not going to help them move forward. You know. Tell us more about this book. I think this might be a good starting point for people.
Okay, so Gareth, you're actually in the book.
Yay. Good. What do I do? What is my character? Do I manage? Do I go into battles? Do I go into battles? Do I fight?
No, so it's just a collection of the really feel-good things that's happened this year. We've put it into different sections. So there's the sports section, people section, awards, heroes, and it's a collection of 100 feel-good stories that will hopefully be a really cool coffee table book and hopefully be a yearly thing that we can bring out at the end of every year. So you can look back and you can go, hold on, it wasn't all bad. There were some glimmers, some moments of magnificence that we could celebrate a little bit.
That's excellent. And I do think there are more than just one or two. For some reason, we tend to be really hard on ourselves, and we tend to think of more of the bad things than the good things, because when we look back, we're kind of, I certainly feel when I get to this time of year, I could have done more, should have done more. Maybe I didn't achieve all the things that I wanted to achieve. And you've got to be realistic about that too. You're not going to shoot the lights out every time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to be realistic about where we are as a country. And like I said, there are really bad things that we face on a daily basis. There's living in South Africa is incredibly tough. But hopefully, if you can look back and go, it wasn't all bad, then we can move forward to the next year in a good footing.
Carl says, I wish someone would steal my dog. Only my wife and my one kid likes the dog. Where must I move to?
Carl has serious problems. Yeah.
I liked it. Yes, this comment I loved.
My kids think load shedding is how we're lowering our carbon footprint. What cuck are the teachers telling these kids? At least Rachel gets it. She says the 82-year-old is inspirational. Yeah, there we go. That's right. That's good. Well, no, come on. Okay, so what are you doing? Brent, what are you doing for the holidays, and what kind of stuff do you do for fun and to relax?
So this holiday is all about family. Christmas is all about family for us. And as the average South African, a lot of our family live overseas. So we're heading over to the UK. I'm leaving the beautiful summer, which I'm a little bit upset about, to head over to the cold UK to spend time with family and friends is the plan. 3 weeks of it. We're going to be traveling around the UK.
Sure.
Brent,
For
the
you.
UK is currently snowing.
I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. Yesterday, I spent the whole day in the pool. Like that's what summer's about, right?
It is snowing so hard in Germany at the moment that the airplanes have actually collapsed under the weight of the snow on their wings and their tails. It's incredible what they're going through in Germany.
While they're on the tarmac, right?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Hopefully
Not in the air.
No, definitely not. But they can't take off or anything.
Oh, God.
There's too much snow. But I mean, the Western Cape, someone mentions here, Riet, that the Western Cape features prominently as the news section of various sites. She says, I'm responsible for building SharePoint intranet in the Western Cape government. So what's interesting about that is that is a place where we really do see a lot of good news.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to a friend of mine. She's just moved down to Cape Town, and we got into that inevitable Cape Town versus Gauteng thing. She said, look, she's not anti-Joburg. She's just very, very impressed with what's happening in Cape Town. And that's another thing, is you don't have to be anti something to be pro something else. You can be pro two things.
Agreed.
You
and
can
Cape
walk and chew gum at the same time.
Cape Town is prominent in our news site. We feature it often. We speak about the good work that's going on there. They also feature internationally for crazy stuff. Most Instagrammable place, the restaurants. It's a nice part of South Africa, the Western Cape.
Yeah, it's magnificent. And I think anybody who's going to be spending any time there this December, be grateful for that too. Because, you know, we've got this amazing place right on our doorstep. And it's crazy busy at this time of year, but it's still amazing that people from all over the world will come here to get a little bit of that in their environment. And again, you mentioned being in the pool over this weekend. It has been unbelievably, unbearably hot, and apparently it's going to continue to be for another week or so?
Another week ending Tuesday, hopefully.
Right. So less clothes. That's something to be optimistic.
That's a good news story there. Spending time in the pool, less clothes, summer vibes.
Right, exactly. I love it. Okay, so tell us about your plans for next year, because you're always doing new things. What else are you up to?
So I think 2024 is going to be TV time. I think it's good things, guys, moving into that space where we want to be speaking to more South Africans, and not everybody has access to data. Not everybody has access to internet. Not everybody has access to money to buy a book. But TV, and I think majority sort of SABC side is where we're going to be going is my plan.
That sounds epic, man. I'm very excited about that. And I think also, you know, we've got such like nasty shit on TV. You just see these shows where like people are like rubbishing each other. You got these housewives shows, which I hate. I think they're so poisonous and toxic, and people just showing off how much they've got. And you think, wow, those people who are so into like the material stuff, they've got to be the people who don't have a whole lot of real happiness in their lives, right? They don't have family or friends or any of that stuff. So they have to have things. That makes sense? You like those shows, don't you, Leigh-Ann? You watch them all the time.
Sure. That's one thing. That's one thing that I don't have time for anymore is watching TV. I must admit. You know, when you get one of those notifications on your phone about how your screen time has increased or decreased. When it decreases, you know that you're being busy and productive and probably more happy.
Well, Max wants to know, Brent, are you a retired Silicon Valley billionaire because your social media is so jet set?
Not yet. Not yet. I work bloody hard.
Carl has a serious question for you. Says, can Brent use his influence with young people to convince them to vote, please? I think you are doing that.
I am. So I'm continuously speaking about the voting conversation, about the election conversation. I think it's important that we all play our part. You know, the elections coming up next year, I believe, is a turning point in South Africa. It's 30 years since that big vote that happened in 1994. And I kind of feel like next year is going to be a game changer. I can't tell you who to vote for. That's not why I'm here. I have no idea who that is. But all I can say is go out there and vote. And I do. I use my social media to try get the youth involved.
Yeah, I think that's so important. We all have a responsibility to do that. I mentioned at the start of the show this morning, and I'm going to finish with this as well, is use this time with family and with people you care about to actually have important conversations about the kind of country you want next year. And let's start that ball rolling, especially for those people who've opted out and who are apathetic about the state of affairs. Like, you can't be apathetic. You can't be sitting there going, whatever. You have to take charge of your own life, and you have to take charge of whatever you can. Add responsibilities. It makes you a better person. You will grow if you take on more responsibility than you have to. I think that's the way to start. All right, listen, Brent, lovely to see you. Hermine says, I just realized I made it into the Good Things Guys news. Yay, Phoenix the dog. So you see, people also, they are becoming part of what feeds this machine that you've created. And it's just absolutely bloody amazing. I love it. Well done, Brent. Good to have you on, dude.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. It's been a while since I've been in the Cliff Central studios. And yeah, congrats on all that you're doing. I love Cliff Central. Love all the good work that you guys do.
Well, dude, you must come and visit us at the studio sometime in the new year. But enjoy your trip overseas, and good luck with the book. Hold it up again so people can see it when they spot it in the shops.
One more time. Go buy this book. It's a great book.
Only good things. I love it.
Only good things. Only good things.
All right, dude. Love it. Thanks so much, bro. Have an awesome day.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Very, very good. And we will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Have an excellent day, everybody. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao.